Greetings and salutations, horror movie fans. My name is Gilbert Ybarra, and welcome back to the Attic Review. On today's episode of TAR, I want to talk about the creepy stylings of Come to Daddy. This 2019 psychological horror/thriller is a whirlwind of a ride with barbarian-like randomness that I wish people talked about more often, but hey, let's create some hype today. In traditional Attic Review fashion, I'm going to break the movie down into the three acts as I saw them play out, what I loved about each act, if I had any complaints, and how I felt about the movie overall. So without further ado, it's so difficult saying this title without sounding awkward or seductive, but let's talk about Come to Daddy. Meet Norval, a sniveling little man-child portrayed by the brilliant Elijah Wood, and this dude's got issues all over the place, especially of the mommy and daddy variety, but he is beckoning the call of a potential father-son reunion. After 30 years of absence, you would expect a warm welcome from Normal's father, Brian, but for our entertainment, Daddy Dearest here is going to make the apple of his eye regret ever meeting him. As they get to know one another, Norval comes off as quite insufferable and intolerable, and Papa Brian is exposing Norval left and right for being the annoying attention seeker that he is, especially during their conversation about Sir Elton John. That one's a blast. This persists over the next few days as Brian constantly berates and mentally toys with his overprivileged son, who is beginning to hear noises in the house and is starting to think that there's something severely off with his pops. So one day Norval has had it with his father's confusing, abusive behavior and shows Brian that Kitty's got claws and tries to demand a reason for all of this. Big mistake, Norval, because Daddy likes to play rough, as Brian grabs a big ass cleaver and warmly invites his offspring to come to Daddy. Oh my god, I love when they use the title in the dialogue. Brian grabs Norval, who is screaming for his life and is about to start hacking up his hipster son when out of nowhere a heart attack comes to the rescue and stops Brian literally dead in his tracks. And we end Act 1. Before we get to the good stuff about Act 1, do me a huge favor and click like and subscribe please to help your guy catch an algorithm. Alright, now that that's done, thank you so much, and let's get to the highlights of this first act. I love the tension of Act 1. Seems like a slow boil at first, but things heat up real quick. And watching old Pops Brian dismantle all of Norval's delusions of grandeur is hilarious. Great aggressiveness from Brian's character. I have sympathy for addiction and mental health issues, but Norval's character is the perfect example of someone who seeks currency in victimhood, so it is oddly satisfying rooting for the antagonist here to put him in his place. Well, before things got murderous. Didn't expect Brian's death in that manner, so I admire the element of surprise with that first unforeseen death happening, and that gets us ready to start expecting the unexpected. Quick dislike. I mean, it's not me, but I know people will complain that the first act is kind of slow. All I can say is that it pays off to be patient with this movie. With that being said, let's get on to Act 2. Norval has some interesting conversations with the local sheriff and coroner, and it looks like he's getting some extended father-son bonding time. See, the morgue is simply overoccupied, so the bitter dead dad has to stay with Norval in the house until funeral arrangements are made. Fuck, that is creepy. Norval is a recovering alcoholic and has found the bottle again to deal with the madness. But in between harassing the coroner for attempted late-night booty calls, he is hearing weird shit again, and to his drunk ass, it appears that Daddy still ain't at rest. Waking up with a hangover and paranoia, he accidentally finds an old photo album that showcases his family memories. But oh shit, something is terribly wrong here. These pictures ain't adding up. The real father shown in the photos is not at all the same guy laying dead in bed. Hey everyone, this guy's a phony! So, where the real daddy at? Here comes the twist, y'all. Turns out all those weird noises were coming from a hidden chamber below the house, and Norval finds his real father chained up and tortured really good. No time for sentimental greetings, as a psychopath named Jethro returns to resume getting his torture on. A botched rescue attempt allows Jethro to escape to go get reinforcements, and we end Act 2 with Norval looking for a way to escape and trying to find more answers for what the hell is going on around here. Act 2, Love, is the Tarantino-like twist halfway through the movie. This reminds me so much of Barbarian, where the movie out of nowhere takes a wild turn and we happen upon the true plot of the story. Great Kansas City Shuffle that had all of us deceived on our initial theories about what the hell was going on around these parts. And you're a really cool person if you know what a Kansas City Shuffle is. That leads me to my appreciation of all the spooky deception. The preview didn't give us a lot to work with, so I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought this was gonna be more of a supernatural twist kind of a film. Nope! This violent twist at the end of this act is just the beginning of Norval's new nightmares. Okay, Act 2, random-like. The small performance from the sheriff interrogating Norval was brilliant. It was so quirky and almost felt out of place, but the sheriff scene is one of my favorite parts of this movie. On that note of random likes, as a former abuser of alcohol, watching Norval's relapse and attempts at finding company was just, it made me cringe so bad at my own memories. So I commend him for accurately capturing what it looks like to be a drunken fool. Those scenes are cringy. This is one of the better second acts I've seen in a horror movie, so no complaints here as we head into the third and final act of Come to Daddy. Act 3. Well, after all this madness, Norval truly deserves some answers, and ooh-wee, does Daddy Norval have some nasty skeletons to let out. The real Brian confesses that, long story short, he funded Norval and his mom's lavish lifestyle from a crime that he committed with his friends while they were living in Thailand. Brian decided to be a wild-ass boy and double-cross him, and he took off with the money, so that is why Jethro and the other members are there to get their share one way or another. Brace yourselves for some ultra-violence. It's kind of funny, but still, this is some graphic shit as Norval fights off another intruder, but even after all that, they're still not safe yet. Because Jethro returns and announces that he has discovered the address to Norval's mother's house, and he intends to do some sinister things as revenge for his lost money and dead friends. The real Brian is in no shape to take on Jethro after that grimy torture he was just put through, so it's time for Norval to nut up or shut up as he sneaks into Jethro's car in hopes of catching him off guard before they reach his mother's house. In the theme of this movie's randomness, prepare yourself for this last 20 minutes that I don't even know how to describe. It is so funny, so dark, so gross. Norval's showdown with Jethro at a motel booked with a sensual group is bonkers, and it's a fun way to end this movie. I want you to enjoy this ending, so I'll spare you the details. Plus, I don't think YouTube will allow me to talk too much about the weirdness of the finale. Nice, ambiguous, but satisfying ending. Let's talk about the greatness of the final act. Act 3 is a dark comedy fan's dream. The writers went berserk in this last act, and I was equal parts entertained and disgusted. Some scenes were so dark that I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Like, louder than I should have. I felt true shame for laughing at some of this. Not sure which was darker, the dialogue or the torture and kill scenes. Either way, both of those elements helped you to forgive the slower pace of the first act. Might have been a bit of an overcorrection. Shame on me for not saying this earlier, but Elijah Wood again proves to us how much of a genius he is, and not just in this last act. He plays his character so well that I was rooting against him at first, and then towards the end, I began to cheer for his goofy ass to my dismay. Excellent work, man. Surprise, surprise, there's no dislike for Act 3, so let's talk about overall sentiments about Come to Daddy. This film was more than I bargained for, and I'm so happy that I walked into this movie knowing almost nothing about it. Honestly, the DVD cover already had me, with Elijah Wood and that peculiar title, so I was so happy that I wasn't upset and the movie was more than just an intriguing title. It is over the top in every sense, from the aggressive dialogue to the stomach-churning violence. This truly feels as if Tarantino made a horror film. And not just the gore, but the twists and turns that I admire in storytelling. Come to Daddy is an undervalued gem of a movie that, deserves more fans of it. And that's it for today's episode of Tar, and my high approval for the craziness that is Come to Daddy, and I hope you enjoy the madness as well. It has been an absolute pleasure. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell some friends. My name is Gilbert Ybarra, and thank you so much for watching the Addict Review. Smile, Tiger.